renderforest.com.
Hi all, I'm Trisha Peach, host of the Peach Buzz. I'm happy to get to see you all again. I am having major allergy issues right now. I don't know if anybody else deals with that, but my spring allergies are hitting the end of June. Wisconsin has been kind of cold and rainy this whole year. I'm ready for some hot summer weather. So this week, what I want to talk about is, and I get this question sometimes, Trish, how can I speak at a conference? I hear people say, well, I would love to teach at a conference. I would really enjoy to teach at a conference. And that's not a bad desire to have. That's a good desire. Somebody say, well, is that prideful? No, if you have a teaching gift and you want to share it, that's a good thing. So how can I speak at a conference? Well, let's explore that for a minute. I do love to travel and speak at conferences. So here's some tips I have if you feel like maybe God's laying this on your heart and you're thinking maybe I would like to speak at some conferences. Great. So here's some things that you can do. Number one, you need to start where you're at. You need to start with local conferences. If you're saying, well, I'm not going to speak at any of my small local conferences, I'm going to wait till I'm a big deal and get asked to be at the big one, you may never speak at a conference. You have to start where you are, and that means teaching classes, training courses for your own church. That means speaking for regional conferences. That means, small, and I still do those actually, because it's not about the size of the conference, it's about using your gifts for God. So I love speaking at different places, church trainings. What about a training for all of your local churches? You could put that on, and that's fantastic experience. Because if you do a good job at that, that opens doors at others. You have to remember, when you get a speaking engagement to teach, you need to knock it out of the park. You need to have excellence and quality, because the number one way that you will be asked to speak at conferences or other churches is usually word of mouth. So if you do a good job at the one you're at and you make it quality and you give it everything you've got, more than likely it will open more doors. And that may mean you're speaking at ones where you're volunteering your time. That means you're speaking at ones that they can't pay you just for the exposure. Did I do that? You bet I did. Absolutely. Whatever I needed to do to get the experience and get the name. I don't want to say name recognition, but I will say many times pastors talk to each other and they go on reputation and who have you used? Who's good? Who does this? Okay. And so number one definitely would be get experience speaking at your local conferences. Local is great. Get experience with whatever you have to. Two would be, when you get a chance, make it quality. Give it everything you've got. If you have two people that show up, you make it amazing. Scripture tells us you've been faithful in a little bit, I'll let you be faithful in much. So it doesn't matter the size, give it everything you've got. If you've got 100, 1,000 people there, or just two, give it everything you've got. The third thing is, when you're getting started wanting to speak at a conference, you're going to have to, lower the money expectations. A lot of these churches and a lot of the smaller conferences can't afford to pay you. And if they do, it's going to be an honorarium. So you do it for the experience, and you do it for Jesus, and you do it for the leaders who are there. But you don't go in expecting massive paychecks, because that's probably not going to happen. 4, hey, you're getting experience. You're doing phenomenal work. You're working to get a name out there and letting people know you're available. Okay. Well, 4, that's under letting people know you're available. It's great if you have either a business card or a pamphlet or a website. My website, I'll put below so you can take a look at it. Mine is kidman.ninja. Kidman.ninja. Yes, check it out. I do travel and speak, and I love my website. My husband helped me set that up. It's easy to do. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of money. Check it out. You need to have something where they can get more information. You need to have some way for people to contact you. That's something I run into a lot. Children's pastors or other pastors saying, well, I never get asked to speak at a conference. I never get asked to teach anything. Yeah, well, how are they supposed to get your phone number? How are they supposed to know what you do, what you're about, what you're best at? You got to have a way for people to contact you. And I had somebody say, well, that sounds like marketing, and I'm not for marketing. Well, too bad. There is some marketing involved. You're going to have to think about how people can get a hold of you and contact you when they have a conference, that you're available to speak, that you're willing. So you need to have, I would say, cards, pamphlets, a website, something like that. 5, this is extremely important, and you probably already know this, in ministry as well as many other things in life, it's who you know. So you need to start talking to some other people that speak at conferences and such, and get testimonials. I have some testimonials on my website and on my blog, because many times what matters most is they're looking for that testimonial, saying, okay, can I take a chance on this person? How do I know they'll do a good job? And then they see somebody they know put a testimonial on your site, and they go, okay, all right, well, I don't know them, but I know this person and I trust this person, so all right, I'll bring them in. I have gotten many of my bookings on the word of somebody I knew, a friend of a friend. I've gotten many of my bookings that way because I knew someone. So start working that. Ask some of your good friends who speak at conferences to give you a testimonial. Just ask. The worst they can say is no, and I haven't had people say no very often. Just say, hey, I need you to give me a blurb, a testimonial, something that I can put on my card or something I can put on my website saying they do a wonderful job, you should bring them in as a speaker. So testimonials, extremely important. 6, you're going to need to streamline what you're going to do, what you're willing to do. So if they bring you in as a speaker, what are you willing to be a speaker for? Do you only do kids ministry? Would you do a VBS? Would you do a family service? Would you do a youth service one night and a kids service another night? Are you willing to do a training? Are you just there to do a ministry training? You need to list specifically what you will do, what you're willing to do, and have some idea of prices in your head. If you don't know what you're wanting to charge for that, go look at what others are charging. That's a very good idea. Find out what others are charging and what they do. When I travel, I usually do a training for the kids ministry leaders if the church is open to that. I do, I call it kids show nights, which are family ministry nights. And this year I'm also doing a youth rally, a youth and adult rally. So that's fun. I'm kind of branching out, but usually when I travel, I do a training and I'll do a family ministry service where everybody's in the same room, and I'm doing ventriloquism and drama and all that kind of stuff and worship. So that's exciting. I love getting to do that, but you need to specify what are you doing? Because if you're like, just bring me in to speak. Okay. About what? To whom? What are you excited and passionate about speaking? What do you have experience in? Remember, experience always trumps. You need experience and you need testimonials. But what are you passionate about? What do you want to talk about? So if you talk about divorce care and that's your key thing, then that's what you need to advertise. Bring me in to talk to your church about divorce care. Bring me in to talk to your church about grief share. Things like that. You got to be very specific about what you do. When I travel, I do trainings on children's ministry, usually safety and security, working with special needs kids and their families, family ministry, how to put together a dynamic kids ministry service, recruitment. So I specifically lay out for the church the things that I do trainings on and that I teach on. And then I tell them, okay, if I come in to do these family services, I'll be doing puppetry, drama, ventriloquism, illusions. This is what I'm about. This is what I do. And I'll give my prices usually for what I'll need to go in, and I do have a contract also. I highly recommend that if you're actually going into a church to do a full week camp or a full week conference, that you make sure you have a contract with them, and that everything's laid out crystal clear. Okay, number 7, I think we covered materials to hand out. Oh yes, okay. Very, very important that you have some written materials. Okay, I will give you this, that most times the people that they have in to speak, the ones that get a preference to come in and speak, typically have some written material. They wrote a book, they write articles, they wrote a curriculum, something. And maybe you haven't done that yet, but you might have written curriculum. You may have written forms of the trainings you've done at your church. Get something in writing that you can show to whoever's making the decision. 8, this is really extremely important. You need to have a video of yourself. I know to speak at certain conferences, if it's your first time speaking at that conference, they're going to want to see a video of you. They're going to want to see, this is current year, they want to see a video of you teaching, a video of you speaking, a video of you doing what you do. You would do well to make a polished, high quality, say 5-minute video of you doing what you do best, and have that to send to each conference, to have that to send to each place that you want to go speak. I've had to do that before many times, and it's bad if you're scrambling at the last minute to have one made. Have someone film you teaching at a VBS or a kids' church when it's the best of the best, your best work. Maybe you're doing a special in the main service and it's amazing. Have someone film it with a high quality camera, and then you may even need to pay to have someone edit that and make it amazing, because that will be what shows people what you are capable of doing. Okay, I would just go for that. Make sure, I would say that's a necessary thing. Get a high quality video of yourself doing what you do best and make it amazing. And then I would say number 9, you've got to be willing to knock on a few doors. The majority of ministers I talk to, they will sit at home and wait for everyone to come knocking and asking them to speak at a conference. And then they're so shocked when no one ever comes, and, oh, well, I must not have. Okay, most of these conferences have an application process. So you need to apply to speak there, or you need to know someone who knows somebody, and then you're going to have to apply to speak. And those applications sometimes can take a while, and you've got to have, fresh ideas. And then the first thing they're going to ask for is a video of you speaking and then a sample of your writing. And you need to be ready to provide that, and very high quality. The best thing to do is to apply to any of the conferences near you, apply, and then apply to more and apply to more. Because like I said, if you do a great job at one, it's going to open more doors. But you can't sit back and wait forever for them to find you. You need to start making some phone calls and sending out some demo videos and say, this is what I'm passionate about, and I would love to share this with others. Okay, so there are a few tips. Maybe you already speak at conferences. What are some great tips that you have for teaching and speaking at conferences or church camps? It's something I love to do, that I do full time now. What would be your great tips for getting to speak at a conference or at a church camp? How would you get your bookings? What would you tell someone who's just getting started out? I'm praying for you. Please do use your gifts for God. Use your gifts for God, but don't sit there in your house and wait for people to come to you. Make that high quality video website. It doesn't take a lot of money. It really doesn't. Get some cards and some pamphlets to pass out. Start talking to people. do the small ones with great, great, great excellence and see what doors God is going to open. And thank you for being willing to use your gifts for God, for Jesus, and for his kids. Yes, so there's some things to get you started. All right. Thank you. I love it when we get to spend time together. God bless, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.